The following is a presentation of Playfly Sports Properties and Michigan State Sports Properties. Well, hello and good evening, everyone. Good people, it is Tuesday, January 16, 2024. Welcome to the only show about Spartan Dawgs, hosted by Spartan Dawgs. This is Sparta MSU. I'm your host, Jason Strayhorn, along with my co-host, who's turning around right now. We'll go to Otis, the boss, Wiley, and Jehuu Jehuu Caulcrick. Everybody's here. Look at that Bills Mafia. Yeah, don't forget our Lions, baby. If this is your first time watching the show, we want to welcome you to the show. If this is not, we really thank you for your loyalty. And don't forget to click the like and subscribe buttons and follow us in that chat right there, and go to all of our social media platforms at This is Sparta MSU and let us know where you are watching us from. We are monitoring the chat, and we are looking live at you right now in the chat room. So, guys, listen, it's been a big week. It's been a lot of stuff going on. Last week was our first week back after a long layoff. We hit it. I think we did pretty good. We had, Coach D and another legend in Swerve and Irvin. Guys, how was your weekend?
My weekend was good. My Bills came up. Marlon, you good, big dog? You good? You were talking that junk last week, talking about them Steelers, them black and yellow coming down the street. You good, big dog?
Black and yellow.
You good? You making it work today?
Wasn't even close. Hey, man, I think a lot of people are going to do the Tomlin. I like what Tomlin did, and that's going to live on forever,
What's worse, the James Harden one where he walks off?
That Tomlin one was classic. That was priceless.
It was classic, man.
But shout out to the Lions too.
You can't, what to say?
How
many years was that?
32.
32 years.
Dang, that's crazy. Huh. That was
Otis,
great.
I know you was happy. Come on now.
Oh,
you got it embroidered in the head of your seats.
I was like, I'm about to drop them stacks and pay for them tickets.
But this is a big week for you. You versus the missus.
Yeah, that's why I was like, do I drop those stacks? And is she? I don't think she's comfortable in there because we rowdy now. Lions fans ready to go ahead and gang, baby. I don't know
what would you do. Now it is your missus now, and these Lions fans. Last time I was there for the Bills game, they said they were going to get me. They
said that?
Throwing things at me. You know how I am, a peaceful-minded guy.
Lord!
And then the Bills came and ripped it from them in Thanksgiving last year. They were after your boy. Now, what are you going to do now if you take your missus to that game?
We ain't going.
But shout out to we got a couple. Too Tall Golston with the Bucks, and our guy John Van Dam. He's on the coaching staff there. I talked to him last night a little bit after that game.
I know we're about to go to the next subject on the Cowboys.
Y'all still them boys? You ain't making no noise.
How about them Cowboys? I mean, turnover machine.
When they put the crying face on the emojis on Jerry Jones.
Yes.
That was crazy.
Oh, man.
Listen, I don't know how, old Coach McCarthy, how does he make it? I don't see it. It's rough.
And that's a cheap buyout, too. 1 year left. That's cheap.
And people are talking that Belichick talk. I just don't see how that works, guys. I don't see how.
You're right. You're right, Stray. Yeah. It doesn't. Those two can't go. I see Belichick though in Philly.
Nah.
Yeah, man.
What you mean?
Sirianno.
That look, I don't know, man. That Philly fan base needs some swag goo on that coach. Like
they want to win, and they got
yeah.
the pieces.
They do, but
They got Matt Patricia in there calling that terrible man defense there on third and long.
Did Matt Patricia? He's like half the man he used to be.
Yeah, he's on that Ozempic.
But it's still the same coach. Hey,
that's a good one. That's a great one.
I mean, I think that'd be a good spot for him. Got a lot of talent on defense over there, man.
I don't care.
Sumerin.
We good over here, my dog. We good.
What, Philly?
No, I'm saying I don't care about anybody else's organization.
That's Tony L. That's Tony L. He's crying back there. Tony, producer Tony's crying backstage right now. That's the Phillies are his team.
Yeah, Big Dom, he said could design better plays than the OC could. Big old security guard on the sideline wanting to fight folks.
But straight, did you grow up? Are you a Lions fan or are you a Colts fan?
No, man. Look. The Colts came to Indianapolis like somewhere in the middle of the night in the Mayflower truck. So I was about 9 years old. You know, so it was hard. You know, I'm a church kid. I'm a PK, so we weren't allowed to go to NFL games on Sunday. So we followed the Bears. You know, honestly, yeah. You know, '85 Bears. I mean, that's my first love.
Don't get better than that.
No, but then being in Michigan as long as I've been in Michigan, how can you not root for the Lions, man, and what they doing? Look, it's just so long. I've never seen the Lions win. I've never seen it. So this is a first for me. And I mean, it's exciting. I've been to the games, and I can just feel the energy, man. That had to be one hell of an environment in Ford Field. Looking forward to seeing what it's going to be like this week, too. I mean, look, if things go right, with San Francisco, I don't know. You know, you don't like San Francisco, Chew. If they happen to lay an egg, how about Ford Field hosting an NFC championship? Oh, you got to go to that one. I don't care. We're going to put the collection plate out just so you can go to that.
Man, how much is in the fund right now? What's the total?
Empty it. Empty it for the boss. Right. I'm going to do the Super Bowl shuffle. Right? Guys, look, men's basketball. We got to move on to that. You know, they beat Rutgers, but the story of the game was Coach Izzo's son, Steven, getting his first points of his career. Let's go to the film on that.
That bucket means a lot to me because I've been here for 5 years and really been here longer because my whole life I've been on Spartan as a fan, and seeing that video is it's emotional because it's what I've dreamed of my entire life, and I'm so grateful I got to experience it with my teammates, and I'm forever grateful that they welcomed me in 5 years ago and took me in, and I get to experience awesome day job with them.
Hey man, how can you not root for
that's that scene where like you got that whooping, you be like, stop crying. Like you trying to hold yourself and compose yourself, but you just can't break it. I thought he scored a free throw though, but
that was an exhibition game.
Oh, exhibition. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, look, I feel like the guy who was guarding him, like, man, like
he had a nice move though.
Oh, it was a great move.
Great move.
That was a starter, wasn't it? That he scored on? He got that and one.
That's a great move, man.
Yeah,
look, I think it's always the highs and lows of coming in at the last few minutes, and like you want to go and like do big things. Like you had Nick Sanders hit Trey Ball. Like Nick has a nice smooth jumper, and for him to get that, like usually he's always running around doing craziness. I think was it 2 games ago, like the last home game when he pulled up on like the logo, he got in and was like, and you see Tom like, calm down, man, calm down. But that's a big time reward for Steve-O, man. Known Steve-O since he was a little jit, where he was cussing referees out in the stands, going crazy, and just to see him, his 5th year. Coming in and getting an and one, and he hit the free throw with no issue, just smooth. So good, man. He comes in. He's the life of the team, clearly, right? He's the junior coach Izzo, clearly. So Good for Steve-O, man. I'm proud of him. We're gonna have him on too. We're gonna have him on. So we'll get
we love that. And speaking of, you say coaches, so he had a few words in his post-game press conference, and here's what he had to say.
You just saw your son hit a crazy shot that he converted and hit the free throw, and you gave him a big hug. As a dad here, how does that make you feel to see Steven connect like that?
It looked just like LaFonso Ellis at Notre Dame, didn't it, with their similarities? You know what? That's a thrill of a dad. It's a thrill of a lifetime. And I love the fact that my players were probably more excited than I was.
That was great. That was great, man.
It was really cool to see, all the guys come and bum rush him. And hey, he had that moment, like he said in that video, as a guy that grew up in the program from when he was a little kid, going to games, being, indoctrinated into Spartan basketball, pretty much growing up in the Breslin Center, and for him to have that moment. And the really cool thing about it was he could do that on the road, but it's not as special as in the Breslin Center. And he had the opportunity to do that at home, just really was something special in front of his dad, and his teammates really embraced him, through all that. Because it's got to be tough, though, to be a coach's son, especially like Coach Izzo's son, after he cussed you out, and then you got to go to the locker room and you can't talk smack because his kid's right there. That's that. But I think they play that line really well, and that you could see the love his teammates have for him.
Oh, man. Without question, you seen it. I mean, they did celebrate like crazy when he hit the floor. They picked him up off the floor. I mean, he was off his feet, man, right? Like off the floor, getting held up. Everybody's screaming for him. That was a great sight to see. There was also a couple of funny tweets, Otis. I mean, this is something that, we laugh at with him and the great Wilt Chamberlain. There you go. 100 points versus 3 points.
Oh, and he'd be like, it's just the beginning.
You got to start somewhere.
Awesome, man. This is awesome. I wish we would pull up the LeBron one too. Like, he got more points than LeBron has in college. It's good poking fun, but this was a good culture opportunity for the guys to truly. I think that's the most important thing is when you see the guys' reaction. Right. Like usually you're just like, good job, Steve-O, but that's a big time. You probably haven't gotten a bucket in a long time, but it was good. In real action, good.
Man, it was an incredible thing. Obviously Michigan State ends up winning that ball game, right? Do we have the final score we could pull up? 73-55, and it was a little touch and go there, a little, in that first half and in the beginning of the second, but they pulled away to win a big one over the Scarlet Knights, who were kind of neck and neck with the Spartans in the overall records. But now Michigan State improves to, I think it's 2-4 in Big Ten play.
Who did they beat, Stray?
Rutgers. I said that wrong the first time. The next game is Thursday versus Minnesota. So when we're on the show again, they'll be playing against Minnesota. Is that on the road? Or is that home?
It's at home.
At home.
Minnesota.
And look, I don't care who we play in the Big Ten. It's going to be a battle. It's not going to be a easy win. And so, like you said, we battled through and through with Rutgers, but then it's tough to put your foot on the gas and keep on the gas because they're always coming back and fighting back. So this is a good win to get us into Minnesota. But I want to see us truly get back to that dominance like we did, like Penn State. Put them down like Baylor. When we played the way we played at Baylor, if we play like that, moving forward, the sky's the limit where everybody's clicking, everybody's rebounding, everybody's playing defense, and everybody's producing. At some point, they're making a difference. That's going to be a huge testament to our squad moving down and have success down the road in the tournament.
Yeah, and to be honest, I know this was something, but when we played Illinois, we played a solid game against Illinois as well. It's just about finishing, finding that intestinal fortitude to step on their necks. Now that's what you have to do. But they played a all around good game against Illinois
all day long. And listen, we got people in the chat, man. They're talking. God bless you, brothers. This is Baird Bikes Videos. God bless you, brothers. I enjoy your show. Thank you for letting your friend, Cedric Urban on here. That was entertaining. Hey, all dogs are welcome. All are welcome. And Cedric absolutely was entertaining. Otis had some stuff going on. So, we had him on, and he did bring the house down. But hats off to Michigan State basketball for what they've been able to do. And look, it ain't done yet. We're going to make that push for the tournament. We got the Big Ten tournament coming up soon in a few weeks down the road as they continue in Big Ten regular season play right now. Guys, moving over to MUN Ice Arena in JU's Hot Topic. We're talking about hockey, and hockey sweeps number 20 Penn State.
Yeah, another good weekend for Michigan State hockey, especially in Big Ten play as well. A lot of good things, came from this. In hockey, it's 2 days you play a team back to back. After the first one, if you win the game, that team can really go back, look at film and make adjustments to what you do well. But to beat a team twice, to have a sweep, and Michigan State has had a lot of sweeps this season against a lot of good teams, and that is something special. The way that these guys are firing on all cylinders now, moving up the rankings, week in and week out. This is a team that's going to be very, very dangerous, come NCAA tournament time. Coach Nightingale has these guys firing on all cylinders, in this game. Our guy Artie, how do you say his last name?
Who? You talking to me?
Yeah.
Levshinov.
He was the second star of the week, in that game. That's something that's big. I believe, and then we had that other play with the between the legs goal. That should definitely be a SportsCenter top 10 play, going around socials there. So, definitely something. It's once again one of the hottest tickets is, to be in MUN. And then coming up this weekend, we got the school down the road coming to town again. And that's going to be a heated rivalry. It's going to be a good game, coming up. So let's get ready for that. Let's get ready to do that hockey.
So it's at home against the school down the road, and then you go there.
They always play it. We host or they'll host, and then we'll swap and go down and travel down there. So
little home and home action.
Yeah.
Oh boy! So
and that's further down the road. Then they're going to play one at LCA, the duel in the D.
Are we going to do a show from there? Can we do a show from down there?
We're going to hit somebody up because the hostess.
Yes.
All right. Yeah.
That's right. And you're right. Look, I see the talk here. Hockey school, gymnastics school, volleyball school, golf school. I mean, everybody. We're just a sports school.
Cross country, track, man. Cross country, getting it back to back.
We already know basketball and football.
Soccer, women's soccer.
Yeah, that's what's next. Speaking of women's soccer, I mean, look, man, we had a young lady. Was it Celia Gaynor? She got drafted. Let's look at the video here.
And the very next pick is in, so let's head back to Commissioner Jessica Berman at the podium.
With the third pick in the fourth round of the 2024 NWSL Draft, Chicago Red Stars select Celia Gaynor from Michigan State.
Anytime you get drafted, you get that opportunity, no matter what sport it is, your goal, your objective is to play at the next level, play at the highest level that you can. And Celia had the opportunity, this weekend to live those dreams, see those hard work, come to fruition, all those, the blood, sweat, the tears, the times that people don't see, those cold workouts, those raining workouts, those games and everything come to this point now that she has her opportunity to play in the NWSL and represent her school and her family.
Yeah, we can't forget, too, Reagan Cox, former intern, Playfly, Michigan State Sports Properties, got invited.
Yep, to a tryout.
To Orlando Pride. So preseason camp. So I know she can show out and be able to get at least a shot, which is great, an opportunity. So that's good for Coach Hostler, like getting those two drafted. And then you got, that program is sustainable for years to come. And looking forward to see what they do from a Michigan State women's soccer squad too.
I know how it works in any sport. And you got people getting drafted. You got more recruits looking at that and seeing that potential Spartan women's soccer players. Hey, take notice because Hostler got something going on here. Come to East Lansing, get your name called for the NWSL someday. Get your money, So listen, guys, we got to get into what's going on with Michigan State football for a minute here. We've got Corey Robinson, who's the resident recruiting expert. Seems like he's on here all the time, but look, he's got to bring it to you because we haven't had him on for a while since we had the layoff. And we will get into that after these messages from our friends over at IHOP.
Everybody come for the fresh and fruity. Only at IHOP, it's Rudy Tooty. Mix and match like a little combo cutie. Happening now at the big extravagoody.
The Rudy Tooty Extravaganza starting at $7. Create your own combo with eggs and bacon. Only at IHOP.
Hey, Sean, relax, man. I'm talking about the holiday season. Couple of weeks, that's all. No layoffs. We didn't lay anybody.
What do you say?
He put layoff, like question marks. Like what's going on here? Calm down. He dropped the stack. See how this is what we do here. For those who are just joining the chat for the first time, we drop pancakes when we talk about IHOP and tickets for the SeatGeek. And we're going to come back with that in a minute. But for now, without further ado, we need to bring on 24/7 Sports Zone, Corey Robinson, who joins us at Sparta MSU. Corey, what's happening, man? Branded hat to toe.
Yeah, how you guys doing?
Good, man. Good. It's been a minute. I feel like
has anything been happening? What's been it's been a pretty slow recruiting season, right?
Right. Yeah. It's kind of settling in a little bit finally, but yeah, it's kept us busy for a while there, just kind of seeing, because you're following the coaching hires, you're following the 24 class, and then the transfer portal opening up. I think December 4th, like a week after the coaches got here, and you had 30 guys almost hit the portal. They brought most of those guys that they wanted back, and then obviously they added a lot of pieces. So it was a successful start for them, I guess, just with the situation they were given. I thought they did much better in the 24 class than I expected. I didn't think they were going to be able to do that much work that quickly. And then with the transfer portal, I think they're at 9-10 guys or something right now that are coming in. And all of those guys project as starters, or at least in the 2 deep playing starter snaps. So.
Before we get into the players that have gone and the ones that we've acquired through the transfer portal, there's a parent. We have Darren Tatum in the chat, and you've got to always respond to the chat that's live here. And we have parents that got a question. Do you have any idea? Do you guys think that the new coaching staff will have a meeting with the parents? Court, you have some contact with the guys. Do you hear anything? Any buzz about that?
I haven't heard any buzz, but I'm assuming with this type of coaching staff, now that things are going to settle in, I'm sure that'll happen. But I mean, they had so much on their plate when they got here. I mean, if you think about it, was it November 28th, November 29th that he got hired, Jonathan Smith?
Yeah.
Something around that, and I mean, you had to come across the country, do all of the signing your own stuff, finding the staff together, trying to figure out who you can get to, what players you can get to follow here, dealing with the portals. I mean, I bet you those coaches probably got less than 4 hours of sleep every night, if that much. So, I mean, there's a lot on their plate. I think now you're starting to get to the point where maybe you start seeing more things like that happening. I think, I don't know if you guys were with it, but I had heard that they had did a Zoom with the players, the ex-players recently. So, I mean, I think that's stuff that you'll see as they finally, get to settle in a little bit and have a little bit of normalcy.
Yeah, I was on that call. Were you guys on that call? You guys were on there.
Yeah.
With Coach Smith? Yeah, we were on there. It was almost 200 former players on there. That was one great Zoom that Coach Smith, and we appreciate him. And athletic director Alan Haller was there. Obviously Darian Harris was on the call as well. And so moderating, and there was a lot of questions in the chat, and we love that. We want transparency. People want to know what's going on and see if they could help. That's the most important thing in any way. But get it into what's going on in the portal. So we had give us, your synopsis of where things stand. I mean, we have a whole list of like 11 guys who've committed. There was an issue with one of the players. It looked like out of Texas A&M, Tony Grimes, that was Texas A&M in North Carolina, does not qualify academically, and then moved on to UNLV.
Yeah. So I think they got 10 right now that they brought in. They had 11 with Grimes, but he had those issues that they, kind of out of their control. He kind of that was weird. Is I think that visit came together quickly too, because Michigan State with this staff had done a really good job of eliminating academic casualties. Because I know you guys know this, it's harder to get into the Big Ten. A lot of the Big Ten schools with transfers, like credits transferring over. So they usually do a good job with that. With him, I guess it kind of squeaked through and it didn't work out for him. But the 10 that they got, I mean, let's see, the most recent, Wayne Matthews, he was a Old Dominion linebacker, I think 135 tackles. PFF, they do their rankings. Some of their rankings are pretty weird. Some of them are good. But he had a 98.9 or something like that pass grade with 385 passing snaps that he's back in. So, I mean, that's just too big of a sample size to be wrong. So, he's a linebacker that can go out there and cover, which is, I know you guys watching Michigan State, that's been an issue for a minute. like I don't remember the last time they had a good cover linebacker. So he does that. Plus he gets to the ball and makes tackles. So you put him with Jordan Turner, who was another linebacker they got from Wisconsin earlier. He's one of the first ones to jump in. Yeah, he's a big one. So against the run, he's going to be really stout. I think he's a guy that you could put in that stand-up edge rusher just because he's so big and physical at 240. So he's got a lot of versatility where you can, maybe on passing downs, you put him as a stand-up edge to get after the quarterback a little bit. On running downs, you have him back there at linebacker. And then obviously you're bringing Jordan Hall back, who had a great freshman year. Darius Snow is coming back from his injury. So hopefully he's able to, kind of get back to, I don't know, obviously his goal, and he's a competitor. He wants to get back to where he was before it. I don't know if that's possible, but if he can at least get, healthy enough where he can go out and do his thing, that would be great to see, because I think he's one of the better ambassadors for the program ever since he got here. And then obviously Cal Halliday, who started the last 2 or 3 years, and now, I mean, he's going to have to bring it to see the field, honestly. Right. When you look at Matthews and Hall, the growth Hall's going to have, and Turner and some of those guys. So I think linebacker got a whole lot better, which it needed to. That's not where it needed to be. I think some of it maybe was coaching, because I don't know that any linebacker should be turning his back completely to the quarterback on a passing play like we saw over and over and over. Like at some point, that's got to be corrected at some point.
Hell, even in a Tampa 2, you don't turn your back.
That's a cardinal sin. Cardinal sin.
Yeah, it's very, very weird, because we saw it over and over and over and over again with it, and you're just like at some point there's got to be accountability or teaching or something to stop it. But so hopefully the new staff with some of the new players, they can teach them that key trick of paying attention and watching the quarterback. But so yeah, I think linebacker's a lot better. I think defensive tackle, one of the more recent guys they got is Daquan Dowse out of Georgia Tech. He's a really good player, 6'2", around 300 pounds, kind of a quick guy that can make plays in the backfield, stand up against the run. And then, so he's going to come in and be in that top 3 or 4 rotation, along with Derek Harmon, a guy that came back, which was a huge one to bring back from the portal. Simeon Barrow, who went in and came back. He came back really quick, so some people forget he actually went in. but he got back out of it quick. And Maverick Hansen getting his final year approved, that's a big one. So that gives you at least 4 defensive tackles in your rotation that you can keep in there and fresh. I think in the spring you'll see them bring in at least 1 more defensive tackle, if not 2. Kind of depends on the health of Alex Van Sumeren. If he can get healthy and be an impact guy and be in, because I think you want to have 6 defensive tackles nowadays just to keep guys fresh without having a lot of drop off. So I think they'll get an idea this spring whether they need to add 1 or 2 in the spring at the defensive tackle. And then I think the secondary, I thought that was a pretty good position to begin with already. Last year, a lot of them 22s are going to take that next step.
But hold on,
So
Corey, on that
that
defensive tackle that came from Georgia Tech, is that Marco Coleman's? So like I know that Marco Coleman had taken some. He was a former defensive line coach at Michigan State under Mel Tucker. Then he went back to his alma mater at Georgia Tech. Now we get a Georgia Tech kid to come to Michigan State.
Yeah, the player to be named later for the trade-off, I guess, of him leaving after a year. But I think he's a good one. And then like Quindarius Dunnigan, defensive end, like so they improved the defensive line. I think you got Jalen Thompson, some of those other guys, Andrew DePape, Job, and some of those guys. We're going to take that step forward. So I think everything there is pretty good. You got, like I said, you got to get some more D tackles, and then defensive back. I think they'll probably add a corner or 2 in the spring, just after they see what they have. But I think, like I mentioned, there's some guys there that were good last year, and I think they're going to take that next step forward. And then you get a guy like Caleb Coley. I think he's a lot better player, and he's going to have a lot bigger chance here just because, as you guys knew, Mel was so big on size, and Caleb wasn't the biggest guy, but when he was out there, he made plays. So this staff, I think you're going to see with Blue and Demetrius Martin, who should be announced here someday soon.
Speaking of that, I mean, you just brought it up. I mean, there's people in the chat talking about Demetrius Martin. Yes, by the way, I do happen to know. I played with Demetrius Martin in '94.
What was his nickname, Stray?
Meat.
And now it's Coach Meat.
Coach Meat out of Pasadena.
A lot of these things that you're talking about here, Corey, I'm going to jump in here for a second. You talked about, healing up from injuries. You talk about stepping up, and you talk about spring ball. And all I'm thinking, when you're saying that, and you guys, correct me if I'm wrong, because we were all in this boat where we all went through a coaching change in our careers.
Yeah.
And in that spring, like the most intense time is in a coaching change is spring ball, because usually if you had an old coaching staff, spring ball, you go out there, you see guys, I'm not feeling it today, coach. I want to take the day off. You in sweats, you're kicking it on the sideline. You can't do that now. It's a new staff coming in. Everyone's being evaluated. So I think this year is going to be the most intense spring ball that Michigan State has had in the last 4 seasons. It's going to be this upcoming spring ball because everyone has a lot to prove. You talk about Cal Halliday. He's going to have to fight. He was a starter. A guy that's coming in, O's guy, body man, they call him. All right. He's a guy that he has to fight for playing time now. These guys are coming in hungry. You got young cats that are coming in from high school, enrolling early. They're going to want to, showcase their stuff. So this spring ball is going to be a lot of fun for Spartan fans. Not as much fun for the players because their bodies are going to go through a lot.
Oh, that's fun. That's part of it. Oh, I'm going to ask you as a DB, man, like, what is spring ball like? Is it the contact that you don't like? Because, on every play, you don't necessarily have to hit. But like, what do you guys like? Like, our love about spring ball?
I was about to say, I don't know if there's love,
right?
Winter conditioning was so daunting, like it was so tiring that mentally you're like, man, now I got to get back into football shape, because there's a difference between like conditioning shape and football shape, and I think that's that transition of yes, you have something to prove. Like you flash back to Coach D's first spring, that winter conditioning was crazy hard when it came with Coach Smith era, and beyond, it was tough.
I can't believe that.
Hey man, it was
conditioning. Coach Smith winter conditioning.
I have PTSD just saying it.
Remember, straight. Coach Manning was still running it.
Yes.
Yeah,
so,
I know.
Coach Manning. So coaches weren't even fully in.
But people had already died by the time y'all got there.
Oh no,
people had died. Not at Michigan State. I'm saying around the country.
The thing is too.
So they kind of.
They didn't take you. You got to remember this coaching staff under John L. They weren't the best of dudes. They didn't have your best interest as a dude at heart.
They were bad people.
Yes.
They were trying to kill y'all.
Oh yeah, they were trying to make you quit. Clearly, and some people would quit. But I think when Coach D came in, you got that stress and that pressure. It's an added level of stress and pressure of you have to learn a new system.
Yeah.
And I think that's where these guys are going through, where you got a new strength conditioning coach, a new way attacking weights and strength conditioning. And then you got the added element of new system. Honestly, these guys are going to probably be in the books and be in the study in the film room more than they probably have ever been, because this is the way to put your stack up in the spring. And then you get to fall camp and it should be smooth sail with the guys that are currently, on the roster now. So, I guess leading real quick, Corey, you've been a part of 247 and all these coaches. How do you establish the trust factor with the new staff that comes in? Because I know that's another element too of, hey, you are our guy, you're Michigan State's guy, but how do you establish that when you're looking at the future of recruiting for Michigan State?
Yeah, I think a lot of it is I didn't go in there asking for information right away. I kind of was giving more information, hey, there's this guy over here, this guy, stuff like that. So that they get used to you. They kind of see that it's not going to be a one-sided thing where you're just hitting them up for information. You add value, and then eventually, you'd be like, hey, what do you guys think about this? Who's coming this weekend? And some of them are into that, some aren't. So you just figure out who you have, and then you just build up the relationship and trust by not putting out things that they don't want out. There's some guys that with the Oregon State guys, that were coming over and taking visits, they preferred to keep that a little quieter just because they didn't want to deal with all the people in Corvallis saying, oh, you're tampering, blah, 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 when the guys are literally in the portal, but, you can't use common sense for certain fans when they're scorned. But, so you just kind of pick and choose your scoops. You don't want to put stuff out there that they don't want out there. And then they have to understand that you also have a job that you gotta, people are expecting. So you just find a good balance with them and learn how to work together. But yeah, it's definitely been crazy going from D'Antonio to the 3 or 4 different staffs Tucker had. There's a lot of turnover with Tucker. So that really prepared me, I guess, for the next step, because with D'Antonio, it was the same guys every year almost. You count on them. Where with Tucker, you built it up real good, and then 10 of them are gone. And then they bring some new ones in. 4 of those guys are gone. So it's that kind of prepared me a little bit too, is doing it. And I mean, honestly, I think not always getting all the information, because if they're telling everybody the information, then that's easy. That's what I kind of liked and built myself on with D'Antonio, was he wasn't giving you a lot, his staff wasn't giving you a lot, so it was up to you to find other sources and keeping up with them and building the relationships with the high school coaches and the players that they're recruiting and getting it that way too. So yeah, it definitely works both ways. Obviously, it's much easier if I can just send a message and say, hey, can you get me this? But either way, we're going to be prepared for it.
I mean, look, we've had 19 or so departures, so that's people going into the portal and leaving. I mean, Zion Young is the most recent one, talking to the defensive end out of Georgia, a young, impressive player, chose Missouri. He leaves for Mizzou, and I see in the chat people are talking about Mizzou. I had a conversation on the phone with some, a great Spartan. It was like, how does Mizzou beat us in NIL? And
they got a lot of money.
They got it. They got it over there.
They it's not a mistake that they had the year they had. They bought a lot of players. they can't afford to keep a coach. Apparently, I think they're losing another one of those tonight after losing a couple. But they can buy the players. I can promise you that. So yeah, I mean Zion Young. I think he's probably the only guy off the top of my head that they lost that they would have preferred to bring back because Jacoby Windman, he went to the NFL, so that doesn't count necessarily because you didn't lose him to another program, you lost him to the NFL, so that's just what it is. But yeah, Zion, I know they wanted to bring him in, but it had to make sense. You can't just Michigan State's not a program that they're just going to overpay for guys. Like they know what the slot values are and they're going to stick to that. And there's guys that will get more, but I mean, he did good, I'll say, with Missouri, and they've done good. They did good developing defensive line, so I mean, it's a good opportunity for him beyond that too. So it's not all money, but I mean, if Michigan State was willing to do something like that, I'm sure having that familiarity mattered.
There's a lot. There was some controversy about, we're talking about Zion Young because, I'm a guy, we call the games, right? We watch these games intently, but he only had 1.5 sacks. Is that the case?
Yeah. 2.5 in 2 years.
2.5 in 2 years. So that kind of affected what Michigan State saw as his value versus what others could see.
Yeah, and like we said, he could go figure it out at Missouri, and because he is a great player, I think, and I think he has the potential. But you also, when you're in the portal, there's a lot of production out there. So are you going to pay that for production you've seen or production you hope to see? Is what it comes down to for Michigan State, and they've kind of, if you look at the guys they have. All of those guys have a track record of good production. So they're kind of going with this is what we know we're getting with this guy and making it a little easier. So, but yeah, he's a great player. I thought, he was, what class is he? 2022. I thought he was probably the most underrated kid coming in from the ranking standpoint. But I mean, you look at him, he looks like an NFL guy, but now he needs to go down to the SEC with Missouri and put the numbers out to make it to the NFL now.
Yeah, he's definitely going to have fun there in Columbia. It's about an hour and a half from Lake of the Ozarks, and come summertime, Lake of the Ozarks. Whoo, boy, what's
it like, Jehuu? Talk to us.
That's a different beast there. So
I got to recruit some recruiting mail from Missouri when I was playing.
That's what I'm saying.
They just sent these pictures of pool, like a big pool with nothing but athletes.
Yes,
both co-ed. Hanging out. I was like, well, I mean, what else do they do there? But
you go to Lake of the Ozarks, you're out there on the boats. You got tie the boats together, a little sandbar action there.
You could probably get that set up at Lake Lansing, though.
Right. So that's going to be the next NIL deal. Lake Lansing NIL club.
Use NIL to clean Lake Lansing up.
Oh my God. Listen, man. So we've got Zion Young, but I want to know, how many spots do we have? I mean, I know there's 85 scholarships allowed, right? Where are we at? Is there some place that we can see? Is it at 247 where we can see the trackers so we know?
It's tough until we see a spring roster or winter roster here of who left. I saw Chester Kimbrough made his NFL announcement, which is good when the guys do that, because even if they're maybe
what was that chuckle about, Corey? Listen,
like even if they're not,
there's got to be some disclaimers when you hit the like. What's the real reasons of hitting and declaring? You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of DBs coming in,
and it's helpful for us because then we see, okay, he's gone, whether he makes it to the NFL or not. At least we know that he's moved on for his next step. But yeah, so it's hard to say. But I mean, as far as this year, I think guys are probably done until the spring just because of the semester, because that whole student athlete part where I think, what was it, January 8th, they started the semester. So you kind of had that till the 12th window to get in. So I think we're most likely, I can never say never, but most likely done seeing guys added before that spring one as far as just getting here and signing. But you'll see guys still visiting. I think you have Luke Newman, the Holy Cross offensive lineman, is going to be here on the 18th and 19th of January for an official visit. He's originally from Detroit. So, I mean, you'll have guys visiting,
Brother
but
Rice
like
kid
actually getting here. Yeah, yep. So I think he's guy slot at guard here if he came.
So they're still doing official visits for this year.
Yeah,
deep into January.
Yeah, they got the kicker, Martin Connington. He's committed to Oregon State, so he's coming this weekend. So
we got our kicker.
We've seen how this movie works, where if there's someone in Corvallis that we need, we're gonna the coaches are gonna go snag them. So you got Jonathan Kim this year, but it's always good to get your kicker in and redshirt him that first year, kind of get used to kicking around in the building. Because I mean, even in a non-game setting, I mean, 75,000 people on top of you, just kicking in warm-ups is still different than high school. So you kind of get used to the speed and everything. So I wouldn't be surprised if he's added to the class here and signs in February. So I think they're always going to be looking. I think there will be some more names that pop up as 2024 visitors in the next couple of days that might be here this weekend as well. Just because the staff is always evaluating. They know they have some holes that they want to fill. Even defensive tackle in high school is an issue, just because for years with the Tucker one, it seemed like if you look at the guys that have been here, they're all seniors, but there's not anybody behind those guys because they didn't really recruit defensive tackle out of high school for years, honestly, 3 years. So they pieced it together last year with Dre Butler, Sammy, some of those other guys. And now Michigan State's going to have to do that this year because of that, but they'll probably have to do it maybe 2 years because the position got ignored as a whole out of high school, which is kind of crazy to think, honestly. So I think 2025, you got to take three of them at least, just to try and get the process going to get the numbers right at defensive tackle, so you're not having to rely on the transfer portal every single year to put that position together.
So speaking of receiver, just changing gears, the defensive line group, I mean, we see that we got a lot of traction there, but there was a player from Oregon State that I think it was Silas Bolden.
Yeah.
He went in the portal. We thought, that was a no-brainer. He's coming here with Aiden Childs because Aiden is in class and we got him locked down, right? What happened with him? What happened there?
He wanted to stay out west. There's a few of those Oregon State guys that they wanted to stay out on the West Coast. That some of them went to USC. Michigan State was the one place that he was willing to leave the West Coast or Texas for. I imagine.
Or Texas. West Coast, Texas ain't West Coast now, Corey. Hey, come on now.
Texas has Texas oil money. So they can be close enough to the West Coast.
He West Coast in Austin. Hey, Otis, did you think Austin was the West Coast when you were there? You were there?
We were south, all the way south, for sure.
Yeah. I think it had Darren Tatum ask, wait, what happened to Saheed?
To who?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Right.
That was a question. That was a question in the chat. I was just relaying the question.
I don't know.
That's a good question.
Yeah,
that's a great question.
Did we cover? I don't even know if we covered in the other shows. Sebastian Brown was a preferred walk-on receiver for us, and got a full ride scholarship to Kent State off of his practice film, which is like crazy to know. Like he was doing. I mean, I've seen his film. He showed me like personally. He was like shadowing me as a job intern, right? But he was showing me, and he was making like catches on our defensive secondary and having production in practice, but couldn't transfer over into like the gameplay. But for him to graduates and then get a full ride scholarship at Kent State off of just his practice film, like, you know, the film doesn't lie. It's like practice squad at NFL. You always get picked up by, you know, any other team, but I feel like that is a good glory story for, you know, the portal.
Right.
Good in those types of instances.
I think too, like that's what I want to see too, is when those guys transfer out, you don't want anybody to just be done, have their college career ended. And I think the only two guys, there's Tunamise hasn't went anywhere yet, and then maybe Dre Butler. I've heard some rumors that he might be going to Charlotte, but I haven't seen him actually post that. But I mean, that's the only two guys that haven't found a new home, so that's good to see. Because, like I said, you don't want anybody, whether it worked here or it didn't, whether they're moving down, sideways, up. You know, you want guys to be able to finish their careers out on their terms, and, you know, get that extra year or two of schooling, and, you know, turn that into what's going to propel you the rest of your life. So yeah, it's definitely, I think those guys both would get picked up somewhere if they haven't yet. They just haven't yet. So it's good to see that those guys have homes too, whether it's here or not.
This is my last question, and I'm done here. So,
Come on,
no, look at you. You better leave right now. But he just made that good look.
Oh, please. You got to ask 28,000 more questions to catch up to you.
Corey, based off, we talked about depth chart and we talked about like roster numbers on the roster. Right now, as it sits today, do we have enough people on the roster to have an official spring game?
I think so. Maybe defensive tackle, but that's the only spot where there might be 4 or 5 deep. But then there's Ben Nelson, who he's a big kid that played a little bit late once they had some injuries. So and I think this staff, I think you could have always played a spring game most of the years. I think maybe that was just a preference for Mel to not do that. Where I mean, here, like, you can, if you have 5 defensive tackles, that's fine. You can always move a defensive end in. You know, it's a spring game. It's not, you know, people just want to be entertained and see guys go out there and make plays in a real game setting. So I think numbers wise, they'll be able to pull it off. I don't think there's anywhere that they're crazy short at outside of maybe D tackle, but even that is, at worst, it's 4 deep. So, I mean, and then you throw in some walk-ons, but you're going to have walk-ons on the other side of the ball too, playing at spots. So, yeah, and then that'll make the O-line look real good too. Something to get that 220-pound defensive tackle to run up the middle on. But, yeah, I think I'm hopeful that we can see a regular game. But I think there's a lot of depth at pretty much everywhere except D tackle, honestly.
Man, you know, there's a lot of questions.
Thomas, to your question there, you know, he said he's late to the cast or the recruit in the Detroit area. I can, from what Coach said, you know, they're going to definitely put a focus on recruiting the backyard and owning the backyard here. The Detroit, the you know, the Michigan, the Ohio, the Illinois area there, you know, anywhere that they can get to it within a 3.5 hour radius, they're definitely putting a focus. And I think that's something that has to be a continued focus, is recruiting, owning your backyard, owning, you know, the Detroit area, owning the state of Michigan again.
Yeah, that's definitely a thing that's happening. Like I told a 2025 recruit the other day and said, I think I've talked to more kids from Michigan and Ohio this cycle from the time they got here to now than I did the entire 2024 cycle. Like I mean, they made it a point. I mean, they were up in the UP like evaluating guys during the evaluation period back in December when they could be on the road. I mean, they're in the UP, they're in Traverse City. You're able to get Pretzlaff, the really good linebacker from Gaylord. They were literally, if the guy had a FBS offer, like they saw his film. Like they were very, very detail oriented and evaluating it, whether the guy was a fit or not. They were gonna know the answer off of their film. So it's definitely a much bigger focus. Last Friday was the first day that they could go back out on the road. All the coaches stayed in state for that one and went around. They lost some of their visits because school got canceled all over the state because of that snowstorm. But the southeast side, most of those schools stayed open. So they saw, Avery got the really good offensive lineman. You saw they were in Cass Tech. They were at Belleville, West Bloomfield, Detroit Catholic, I believe. But so, I mean, they got out there today. They were back on the road because schools were closed Monday for Martin Luther King Day. So they weren't able to be out on the road on Monday. But today you saw them in Ohio. I know they're going to Pennsylvania tomorrow, I believe. There's some guys, Courtney Hawkins is down in Texas. So it's still going to be a little national for the right guys. I think the offensive line coach, I think he was out west getting some of the contacts he has out there, because you got to remember these guys have spent probably 2 years recruiting some of these guys. So they're not going to totally ignore all the boards that they did, but there is a focus to get the Midwest, whether it's Illinois, which they were also at today, Indiana they were in today. So all of that stuff's going to matter again, and they're going to build the base off of that. So that's how I always try to explain it. And these numbers, are just hypothetical numbers, but say you get 12 to 16 guys a class from the Midwest to be your base, and then you fill out the rest of it, whether, that goes up to 25, whether it's 8 or 10 guys out of region to finish it off. That's what you got to do. Where I think previous staff, it was so focused on out of state, and when they missed on those guys, they didn't have a backup plan to fill out the base of the class. So I think there's a good balance where guys are willing to travel now, but you still got to have your base in the Midwest.
I mean, speaking of, so Ohio, that answers the question that Montori Sr. was just talking about Ohio.
Yep,
so
they were there.
But so there's a lot of questions, though, Corey, about Washington and Bama. Is there any focus there? Because there's a huge domino effect, and we're not going to have time to go deep diving into this domino effect that was caused by the retirement of Nick Saban. But there was a void. Every one of these coaching voids that were left opens up the portal for those specific players for 30 days, just like it opened up the portal for Michigan State when Mel Tucker was fired for 30 days. So you're seeing that cascade effect all over the country. Is there any focus from the coaching staff that here at Michigan State on those players that are in the playoffs? You're talking about Alabama players and Washington players.
Yeah, I think Washington, that makes sense because those guys. You probably recruited a lot of those guys because, they were kind of similar players that they were recruiting at Oregon State. The regions were there. So I think there will be some names that you see there. I think Arizona, where they lost Jed Fish, they're familiar out there. I know we brought him up already, but Demetrius Martin, he's familiar out there. So, I think you'll see some of those West Coast teams a little bit more than the Bama one. Mm-hmm. And a lot of those Bama guys that are going to are, some of them maybe they don't have the numbers, and that's why they left. And the other guys that do are going to get some other numbers that matter from Texas or Florida State. So I would keep an eye more so on what Washington and Arizona players are doing, just because that makes a lot of sense based on where the coaching staff for Michigan State was at predominantly last year.
Man, guys, I mean, and the other thing, today, I don't know if we have video. I don't think we have video of this, but I've seen a lot of helicopters. I've seen Kirby Smart flying in on guys. I've seen down there in Miami. He's flying helicoptering in Chicago on guys. Like, are we going to get Jonathan Smith in the helicopter anytime?
All right, we gotta find one, huh? Yeah.
Pretty smart flying in that helicopters from Athens to Atlanta for that Falcons job.
Yeah.
Hey, he went in for a Bama decommit today. A kid that decommitted from Bama, he helicoptered into his. I mean, that's what's going on. If he's doing that, I don't know how much truth there is or how much teeth there is in that Atlanta Falcons job, because I've heard the same thing, Jew.
Yeah, that's what I think. Like, the only guy I can think of up here that's helicoptering is James Franklin at Penn State every now and then. Like, I don't think I remember Harbaugh or Day necessarily helicoptering anywhere around, and so.
But you got Mario Cristobal helicoptering in Chicago.
Yeah, Mario Cristobal needs to be fired.
Yeah, he's terrible. Like,
well,
if you're a quarterback,
he's hitting the jet to Chicago and then getting on helicopter.
Then getting he ain't helicopter from Miami, but that'd be outrageous. But I saw that. I'm like, man, why can't we need a helicopter,
right?
You know,
have to come up with one. Maybe put like the helipad up on Spartan Stadium in one of the corners, and they can just dispatch it from there.
I just want to know. We got to take a poll. Is that too flashy?
Sponsored by,
sponsored by helipad. Hey, you can sell that, Otis.
Uber helicopter, Uber helicopters, man. You can do that. The Cowboys do that all the time. People from DFW hit the helicopter to Arlington.
Yeah, man.
I'll say that they don't. This staff though, they don't really seem like they're that flashy to the point where
is that flashy though? Like I want to ask that question to the people: Is a helicopter coming in to get a recruit that you really want flashy, or do you consider? I understand Lamborghinis and goats in the stadium with.
So would you, if you were a recruit, would you rather like the helicopter coming or a private jet?
All right.
How far we got to go?
But at the end of the day, I don't care how they arrive. I care about what they have for me. Right? I mean, at the end of the day,
I feel like if you're wowed by that materialistic, you ain't gonna make a decision off a helicopter coming to your school.
Right.
Yeah. That helicopter time that you paid for could have been towards my NIL.
Now, I know when I was at SMU, Chad Morris would do that in Texas football because it's like you're going from east coast to coast in Texas. But now when you're playing a game, you're warming up, and you see a chopper coming, and they land in that practice field to get to your game. Like that's pretty, ballers, but I feel like they ain't gonna win me over. Like
like some places like
they
LA,
landed in Buffalo. Like what you like? Oh, okay. You see Coach Smith step out with his
cowboy boots.
That's not gonna win you up. That won't win you over.
No.
You wouldn't care if the man came in as soon as you decommitted. He flew in on a helicopter. I want to see you. You don't care.
But I care about
the same
what's
thing
in
on a
his
private jet.
briefcase.
He can do that and just coming in. Like it doesn't have to. You talking about him coming to visit you or the means of how he got there?
I'm saying the private jet. He probably landed in an FBO somewhere, probably 10 plus miles away from your high school.
Yeah,
if he's helicoptering in. He's helicoptering in right on your field around the track that you play on in front of those cheerleaders and all those co-eds that you go to school with every day.
I'm gonna be leaving them. I'm gonna be going to college, get them college
girls. You got a few months. And I know you
coming to a five-person team.
Yeah. Nah, man. I come and see me. Give me that. I don't care about the helicopter.
Okay. 65%. We just ran a poll. It said it's not too flashy. 65%.
I think at the end of the day,
resources, that money he could have paid for it could be in your pocket NIL, I bet.
But it's from the university. The university cannot give NIL. We got to remember the rules, right? I mean, NIL can't come from the budget of the university.
I assume those helicopters came from donors too, though.
Right.
Like I would assume. I mean, I don't know. Maybe USC has a helicopter on, standby just because of the traffic there. But
because of traffic.
Darren, I agree with you, Darren. Darren Tatum, I agree with you. Let's develop these young men
on and off the field.
I think that's what this staff is going to be. They're not like, if you look at their social media, they have stuff out there, but it's more like, this is what my beliefs are. This is my coaching track record, blah, blah, blah. They're not like trying to just make it flashy with music and no substance, I guess, is what they're going for. They want you to talk about what they accomplished, not what they say they're going to accomplish.
One thing I want to say about this coaching staff here, the bringing in, and Otis, you alluded to this when you were talking about spring ball and impressing coaches. One thing I'm excited about is there's a new strength and conditioning staff that's in, coming in. I just, I will say, some of the guys that were there last year, good people, good men. They did. I felt we had a lot of injuries. And I equate a lot of that stuff to training and stuff, the way that training, takes place and everything. So my big thing is I'm hoping this coaching staff can figure out a way that you can do a lot of functional movements that can get your body in those positions so that you can withstand those hits in the game. So we got to keep an eye on the coaching staff, because I think the past couple years we had a ton of injuries, that held us back.
Yeah, I think the difference too is the previous staff, they did a lot of the pyro stuff that's supposed to avoid that. But I don't know, maybe Darren Tatum, he's got a better feel for it, or Montori Sr., because their kids were in it. I don't think they did as much power as some of the other things like you guys did under Ken Manny. Like, that was power. So that's what this coach is bringing in, the strength coach McDonald. He's a power guy.
Workouts. That's Friday jail yard workouts. Like that was
mobility. What about the mobility? That's the thing. The joints. That's big right now.
Mobility that and here's the other thing though is like if you picture like a nail and a hammer, do you want to be the nail that did a lot of pyrometrics, or you want to be the hammer that nails that hits the nail?
You want to be the hammer or the nail? That's a wrestling reference right there, Corey.
I mean, if you're more powerful, you become the hammer, and maybe you don't get bent over and bust your back and your knees and all of that. So I mean, injuries are always going to happen. I don't think if there was a perfect way to avoid them, we would have figured it out by now, with the amount of research that goes into football. But I mean, at the end of the day, I think if you're stronger, like Jehuu, like he was the hammer that year. He had, how many touchdowns did you have in that one season?
Just a little.
But there wasn't a lot of 40-yard runs there. It was a lot of so
I got video proof on it. We're gonna play it next week. A 52-yard scamper down the left sideline at Spartan Stadium. There,
we're forgetting mental toughness that went through.
Right.
Once you went through that fourth quarter program, like. You had to survive that, like mental toughness is truly key. Like I'm not sure they were graded every winter conditioning, but like we would get graded in that color scheme. Like it was you had to bring your A game in every workout, but mentally
and put out there the grades put out there so everyone sees.
Like especially like Chew, I remember like Chew got the grade. He got the grade. He got the grade code. He had the grade card. Somebody had the green card. Somebody was like red, like not finishing. It was so detailed where like you had to be mentally tough. When you survived spring winter conditioning, you went on to the spring and you was like mentally, I can battle through these injuries because it's mind over matter there. But I think that's the element. I'm not sure how much mental toughness was preached upon in that element, right? Elements of mental toughness.
We need to get back to the days where you put that smelling salts in there. You go on the squat rack. You squat a baby elephant. You play your theme music coming in and out.
and you pass out.
You look like Baker Mayfield. You look like Baker Mayfield last night in Tampa.
Go to the training room.
The force reps and that.
Y'all see Baker coming up?
Yeah. You have all those. You have one right behind your ear every game. Break that thing off before you go in there. All of the day.
That's what I heard with McDonald too. Is once he saw what they had, which obviously it's a brand new weight room, and I think they thought he'd be like, "Oh wow," but like he's like, "No, we're missing some power equipment that we need to get here," and he gave them a tab, said, "This is what I need here," because there is going to be a lot more focus on bringing power back into the program.
Yes,
like you saw, Michigan State was
pound green pound
small, but they weren't bigger. Like you turn on, the team that won the national championship.
Yeah, you can say they dominated both sides.
Those guys are some big, stout defensive linemen or offensive linemen. So I think you get, the offensive linemen. There's some really good bodies on the offensive line from the 2022 class, 2021 class, and 23. Now you put a little bit more power on them, and then the line of scrimmage starts moving the other way. So, I mean, because it's one thing.
It's the back and the hind quarters. The back, the glutes, the quads, man. If you get, that's where the weight can go, bro.
That's it.
That's it.
Yeah, straight.
I mean, I'm telling you, what you talking about, that $1 million guy over there at the school down the road, that weight strength and conditioning guy that makes $1 million plus. That's what he's preaching.
Yeah, and I don't think he's doing yoga.
That show muscle. We want that go muscle.
That go.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right.
Because I mean,
you see, Mr. Olympia can't play no football.
Nope.
Yeah.
Arnold Schwarzenegger, Ronnie Coleman, they ain't getting
every muscle in their body.
It's different. Corey, hey man, look, this is great. Like we appreciate you breaking this down. Guys, like this has been a great show. I know we couldn't get into the Saban, domino effect and Jimmy Sexton, the power agent. That we'll do that another day. We'll do that. We might catch up to that in a couple of days. But man, this has been great. Chew, you got any final thoughts? I know you got some more questions. So I mean, but to wrap it up, what's your final thoughts for Corey before we take off from here?
Oh boy, you put me on the spot. I'm shy. No, I appreciate you coming on, Corey. It's always good to chop it up, learn. Every time you come on, it's always a learning session in the recruiting world, and keep blessing us with that knowledge. Appreciate you. Welcome anytime.
Definitely, anytime you guys need me, just reach out, and I'll be on here. Good time, because I think this show we get to cut it up a little bit more while having some information. So That's always a good time when I come here, just because you let loose a little bit.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Corey, what's your schedule too? Like when spring practices, get released schedule wise. Like, what's your plan of being up here? Is it frequent or like once a week? Because like we got to line it where we're all here to kind of go to practice, but like, what's your schedule like once they release it?
Yeah, like that time of year, I try to keep it pretty open so I can, like, if Michigan State's got anything, I can be there and do it. Just because there's certain windows that are busier than other ones. Like that's a big one with both recruiting and football. And I think, like you guys mentioned earlier in the show, I think this spring's a little bit bigger because you got everything outside of the kickers and punters, like everything's open for the most part. I mean, obviously you got a guy that probably is going to be the guy there, but I mean, you're going to see a lot of competition at a lot of spots this year, and nobody has, a leg up outside of maybe a wide receiver because of Hawkins being here. Everybody else is brand new.
Corey,
there's no opinion on them.
We asked one question for you. Watch this show, and we had Coach D on, we have Cedric Irvin on. What is a dream guest that Corey Robinson wants to see on This Is Sparta?
This one, you guys had D'Antonio, so that was a big one already. Where I think, obviously his track record speaks for itself. Yeah, you guys will have to try and get Demetrius on before anyone else.
Martin?
That'll be your challenge. Yeah.
Oh, come on. Done deal. As soon as he signed that paper, as soon as he touched down these lands, we got that covered, man. I mean, come on. You got to make it a little bit more challenging than that.
Yeah.
Thaw out the thing.
Hagedorn said Kirk Cousins.
Oh, that's a tough. He's in the pipeline.
Don't sleep on us, Doug. Don't sleep on us, Doug.
Hey, don't sleep on it. And who bears bikes, don't question my integrity, player. Whoever you are, listen. I brought up the school down the road because he brought up. That's what Corey said.
The strength program.
Yeah, that's why I brought it up. Like,
whether they like it or
damn about the school down the road. They cheated their way to a national championship. Okay. And I'm telling you, and they're paying a guy $1 million to do strength and conditioning. That's all I said.
No Cousins.
From there, we all love Michigan State.
Who said no Cousins? Magic Johnson, Le'Veon Bell.
Somebody said they don't like Cousins.
I don't know that says no Cousins. I don't know.
Have you guys had Steve Smith on before?
No, we have not.
He's in the chat.
Yeah. Well, I can get Steve. I can get Steve, especially
Kirk Gibson. Okay, Kirk Gibson and Demetrius.
Yeah.
Plexico, man. Plex. Hey, that's a labor of love. We're working on it. We're working on it.
His son's a 2025 wide receiver. That's pretty good. I think Michigan State might offer him soon. So
okay, Baird, I hear you.
Once he offers, maybe he'll come on the show just so he can talk with his son.
Well, what's going on with this Cousins? What's with the Cousins thing here? What's happening in there?
A lot of people don't like Cousins. What's happening? I don't know what's happening.
Lou, what's happening? Mary Lou, talk to me. What did Captain do to you?
Okay. You typed that wrong. That's all.
Straight went right after straight went.
You typed it wrong. You said me mentioning is the opposite of integrity is what you said in the writing. I just go by your text. Bro.
Oh, I wonder why Mary Lou don't like Kirk Cousins.
Coach Saban. Hey, Coach, come on.
Yeah.
I had him on before, but not here. We'll get him on. We'll get him on.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Flex, no guns allowed. Damn, Trevor.
Oh, he wasn't. Oh, okay, that way. Wait, Mary Lou don't like. He wasn't nice. He didn't say hi. And Mary Lou, you got to let that one go.
Kirk got a lot going on.
You got to let that one go.
His Achilles is broke. We gonna get him right. He's a hell of a Spartan, one of the best that ever lived. So we can't question. Come on now.
I think I'd go Saban too. Now that he's retired, he can be even more reflective on his Michigan State and open. Yeah.
Yeah, like did you really?
I think he would be a good one.
Regret leaving. Coach, I'm gonna ask you straight up. What you say?
He said
Mel
to not explain. He said explain himself. Explain.
That'd be a good one too. Yeah, that would be a good one. Listen, guys.
Collection plate. We need the collection plate to be passed around so then we can say, hey, we got a little Skrilla for you. Andre Rison would be a good one too.
Yeah, he'd be a good one.
Chew would be sick that day. Guys, I don't know. I got something going on. I got a meeting.
Spider-Man? I like Spider-Man. I like Spider-Man. Coach Smith, you mean John L. Smith or?
He's
people in
busy
different areas in the show. Wife called again. I'm 15 plus minutes behind. Still talking about
Johnny C. Love Kirk when he did on the field, but not off the field. Come on now. What did Kirk do to you?
Hey, man. You can't make everybody happy. You know that. But we all love each other at the end of the day. Guys, Connor Cook, that's one. That's a good one right there. I like that. Le'Veon Bell and Connor Cook. Look, we appreciate you, Corey Robinson from 247 Sports, joining the show. This has been a great evening for everyone involved. You know, we learned a lot and we laughed a lot. Got a little angry sometimes, but at the end of the day, we're all right because we're all Spartans here. You know, so for Otis Wiley, Jehuu Caulcrick, Corey Robinson, I'm Jason Strayhorn. This is Sparta MSU. Have a good night. God bless you. Go green.
Go white.
This is Sparta MSU is a combined presentation of Playfly Sports Properties and Michigan State Sports Properties. The show is produced by Tony LaBarbera, Tony Gustella, and process-driven consulting. Additional support is provided by Brendan Duravage. On-location technical support provided by Good Fruit Video. Be sure to follow our host Jason Strayhorn, Jehuu Caulcrick, and Otis Wiley on social media. To stay up to date with all the latest This is Sparta news, please like and subscribe by visiting our link tree and tell a friend to do the same. Thank you for your support, and as always, go green.